It is Dave. It is Duncan. It is Kyle, back from Metal Epidemic for another album review. And for this review, Duncan, Kyle and I have been checking out the new album from New Hampshire quartet, Magnatar.
You, what about New Hampshire's alright if you like fighting. New Hampshire's alright.
That band.
Oh, Scissor Fight. Come back. Give us another album. Please.
The band's new album, Crushed, will be released on June 3rd via Seeing Red Records. So, Magnatar. This is the debut album from Magnatar, which follows up an EP release in 2017 and an extended single release in 2018. The album was recorded, mixed and produced by Eric Salter, with assistance from Alec Salter, Brandon Benson and Samuel Tassi, then mastered by Zach Weeks at God City. So, this is the album this week that I found the most interesting.
Agreed. Yeah. Let's see how much we all align up, because interested can be an interesting thing to say. Kind of like that way where your wife comes in and is wearing a horrible dress, and she's like, "How'd I look?" And you say, "Interesting." And then she can see right through that bullshit. Let's find out how interesting this listen was. Dave.
I think there's a lot of reward in the re-listens to this album.
So far, so good.
Because this is not predictable in the slightest. Going from the opening track of Dead Swan, which is thick, corrosive, like a more like fuzz-laden like version of Torche, or even a band like Tuskar. And at that point I thought, I've got a kind of idea where this album is going. Yeah, this
Finger
is
on the pulse, Dave.
Yeah,
everything
absolutely.
is coming up, Davey.
Yeah, this is an album of crushing sludge. I am in. And then the second track kicks in, which is Crown of Thorns.
Could not have been more wrong.
I was like, oh, what's going on here? This is not the direction I thought this album was going to take. They almost do like a 180 and give you something at the extreme opposite end of the scale, with like clean atmospheric guitars, slow reverb heavy drums, layers of texture and ambience. I was like, this is a bold move on track 2, where most bands would be like, let's keep the momentum going, would maybe place a track like this later in the album, track 6 or 7.
I know what you're thinking, Dave. The course correct on track 3 old. Course correction.
Yes, definitely piqued my interest to what type of journey Magnatar were about to take me on. Turns out a really fucking interesting one, Duncan. I had literally no idea what was coming next, but I kinda loved that about it.
Yeah.
Crown of Thorns was like filled with really interesting vocal melodies, these kind of wild twin guitar leads, but at its core it's got this really like prominent groove, which I loved. And there's a moment in that track where it sounded like we moved on to another track, and there's this like kind of clean, kind of chugging guitar, and I kind of looked at the media player. I was like, "Oh no, we're still on track 2." But it
Quietens
sounded
down as well.
Yeah, it totally
like
does.
The volume drop. It's not like a gradual drop. It like instantly drops to the point that I, very much like yourself, thought we'd moved on to the next song.
But no, we're still on the same song. And it's like a devastatingly kind of heavy ending to that track. Then they hit you with Old, which is like an industrial kind of interlude that bleeds into personal contamination through mutual unconsciousness, which is basically Meshuggah gone sludge. And it's fucking amazing. It reminded me a little bit of a band from years ago called 4 Question Marks, who are like very like off-kilter rhythms, but this...
The band was actually called 4 Question Marks, and it wasn't characters used that your computer couldn't describe, so it just gave you 4 question mark symbols. That's the name of the band, 4 Question Marks. Everyone's like Googling them right now. There was no 4 question marks.
4 question marks. The album was called Titan. It was fucking amazing, but absolutely filthy guitar tone. It then merges with track 5, which is like kind of part 2 of Personal Contamination, but even more experimental rhythmically and vocally, but another absolute beast of a track. So like at this point I'm like 5 tracks in, and every track has delivered something different, and that's not with even like mentioning Loving You Was Killing Me, which could be the most like accessible track of the album.
It's got a typo negative fucking song title name, which makes me love it even more. But yeah, it's really fucking good. And it's like almost 9 minutes long, and I could have listened to like another 10 minutes of it.
Yeah, it's got this like kind of almost like a post-punk type aesthetic, but with a vocal hook, which again is a little bit kind of Torche-esque, but again gives that element to stand out from other tracks. The title track was okay. It's quite experimental in the riffing and the guitar sound, but maybe the one track that didn't completely grab me. And then closing the album with Event Horizon, which
the middle section of Event Horizon gave me honestly the hardest cock that I've ever had in my entire life, and I'm safe to say that. And I bet in the middle of that song where it's going on at its pace, and all of a sudden it starts hitting you with the stabs, and just keep fucking hitting you with the stabs. And honestly, I was like, at first I was expecting it to go for 4 and then it might jump into something else, and he just kept doing it. I was like, I'm right on the edge. I'm about to go. That's right. I came.
That song sounds like how the movie makes me feel.
Well, yeah, like if anyone's ever seen the movie Event Horizon, they'll know that the original cut of Event Horizon, which is now lost, even though everyone keeps talking about it every year, there's a scene in that movie. I don't want to go too off to the side, but there's a scene in that movie where you get like glimpses of what looks like a hell orgy when everyone's folding into each other. And apparently that was fully shot. And then they used clips of that in there. And then the original bit was this big extended scene, which is lost to the ether. If that scene existed, this song would be playing over the top of it.
Yeah.
I fucking hell.
Yeah. It's really cool. It's got like a guitar tone that kind of like sounds like it's kind of like breathing in and out. Yeah. It's by far the kind of darkest track on the album. There's like a little bit of an industrial type vibe going on as well, just down the way it's been produced.
Saying the words that I love. I'm touching myself.
Very, very unique. And it's moments like that on Crush that make this such an intriguing listen. You never know what's coming next, but completely engaged by it. Definitely one of the more interesting releases I've heard in 2022 for sure. Production works like a charm. It's musically and texturally diverse, but I loved how colossal this sounded, but at the same time it can sound very ambient and introspective at the same time. And at 38 minutes long, it doesn't overstay its welcome at all. Like, very easy just to listen to this straight after. I really liked this. This is very different, but I really enjoyed it. What about you guys? What did you think? What did you make of this one? Duncan, what do you think?
This is what we do this for. Yeah, I mean, this is the stuff that excites me. Yeah. Getting on the ground floor with a band who I would just love to spend like an hour just talking to them about how they approach this. Because this is the sort of band where we always hear these bands like in the press statement, we approached this as a group and nothing was off the table, and then you listen to it, it sounds like a lot was off the table. Sounds like you had like one sound you wanted to go for and that's what you did. This like legitimately feels like nothing was off the table, and as a result it kind of reminds me in a lot of respects, not that it sounds like it at all, but bands like Mountaineer. Bands that just like appear to be very fluidic with the way that they approach the writing of their music and their album construction, and as a result of that, what you benefit from as a listener is a lot of sounds brought into a band sound on an album, as opposed to, well, this is the pop song and this is the punk song, and like this one here. At no point does this band not still sound like Magnatar, even when you're listening to a track like Loving You Was Killing Me, which, like you say, is like, it could be a single if they wanted to, very, very easily, and I would imagine it'd do pretty well. If they wanted to do that, it could be there, but it still sounds like the core elements of the band, which I think is great. It also helps that they are incredibly versatile musicians. Like all the way through this, I couldn't get over the fact that everything they appeared to turn their hand to, they just were very, very, very good at it. And that's like on some level that's very exciting. Another one, it's completely disheartening because like bands are not supposed to be able to mix and muddle and bring together at times such very disparate styles in a way which just sounds. It's the thing I talk about. Like the best bands are the bands that make transitions between styles that are quite a bit apart, sound like they organically always were right beside each other, and it's just you couldn't think that way.
Yeah,
you always thought there was a huge gulf between this sludgy sound and this more kind of progressive ambient sound. So that's your problem. It wasn't our problem, because when we sat down, it was right beside it, and that's why it's there. And Magnatar make it sound effortlessly easy. I, like yourself, even on the third listening, I was still going with that, and that's where you went next. I mean, that's just like, but it's like at no point was it like fucking audio whiplash where I felt like I was doing myself an injury trying to trying to catch the next style that was coming out. They just do it in such an engaging way. I felt excited by the fact that I couldn't quite get a handle on this, and there is at no point in this listening experience of this album do I fully feel comfortable with the sound. And that generally is a negative for me. Like, I like things that I can get a good grasp on, and I can, I can orientate myself very easily around it. And Magnatar make that a bit of a challenge, but in the best possible way. That kind of way where, like, you're doing a puzzle and everyone else is struggling, but you like, for some reason, you can see the end of the tunnel. That sort of way where I was listening to him and I was like, this is just, the more I listened to it, the more excited I got. I think the production is fucking pitch perfect on this one. Another sheer example of just the upskilling of people that are involved with the writing process and the recording process and the mastering process that tailor a sound to a band as opposed to just tailoring a sound. It works all the way through this, and you have to be really fucking good at your job because this band do not make it easy. Like they constantly switch things up in a really interesting way. I was kind of captivated all the way through it. The guy has the vocalist, great expression, lovely cleans, like at times punishing vocals as well without being like offensively aggressive. He has a tone that just feels like there's weight behind it, and I love that aspect as well. The guitar sounds amazing, drums sound amazing, bass sounds amazing. And then, like you say, you get through it. I don't have the same level of like disconnect on Crush. Crush worked for me quite a bit, but yeah, like it starts off in a very not disjointed way, but a very uneven way. But still engaging. You then, because you're going through tracks of varying lengths essentially until you hit like track 6, and then the last 3 songs on this one are long songs. You're 8, 7, and about 6 for the last track. And Event Horizon was the one where on the first listen through, like I mentioned before, visibly got erect. I think it's honestly, and you mentioned it before, those industrial tones. This reminded me, whilst not being in the same genre, of the last Napalm Death album. An album which wasn't scared to just mix in tons of elements and bring the best that they could, and like almost challenge the listener on the journey as opposed to just making things seamless. It kind of reminded me of that. It genuinely does feel like nothing was off the table when it came to the construction, from fuzz and sludge through like really, really kind of punishing metal into cleans and ambience, at times aesthetics that are like 2 shades of separation away from pop structures, into industrial. This album has so much reward to the listener, and that's what I'm saying. This is what I get excited about, because we hear a lot of bands that sound like a lot of bands, and it's the ones that are kind of pushing the envelope. And even if it doesn't always hang together, I'm excited about hearing something where a band is clearly trying something different. They want to push it. Magnatar are trying to do something different and succeeding at doing it, and not that depressingly doing it well. Like genuinely awesome. There are a few bands that come along, and what I stress is Mountaineer's probably the last time I felt as excited about a new find as I do on this release, Crushed. That by the end of it, I was like all in on this one. I think there's something really, really special here, and I'm kind of obsessed now. Like I'm kind of in awe of Magnatar. I think we're going to be banging the drum very loudly about this band, and I feel like with Mountaineer, that I mentioned about 4 times now, and they don't sound like Mountaineer, although if they toured together, oh my good God, could you imagine? I feel like we're going to be ahead of the curve on this one. This is fucking great. These guys are awesome. If they do by some chance manage to check this out on the internet, I do not often gush on this level about things I listen to from bands that are new, and you have it. This is fucking great.
Nice. Kyle, what do you think?
Man, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
You liar. Such a liar.
I thought this was amazing. You guys haven't given it, clearly haven't given it enough praise. I like that this is an album. This is something you have to sit down and, well, not have to, but it rewards you in sitting down and listening to it from beginning to end. It is a fucking album. It's not just a collection of songs.
You just listen to one song or 2 songs.
Yeah. You wouldn't get the whole, I mean, you'd get an idea of what was going on, but this just rewards you in sitting down and going through the whole thing. It really does. I love that about this. That's absolutely my favorite thing. It's not just, here's a bunch of songs you've written. It's like, here's an album we crafted and put together that you can sit down and enjoy for 38 minutes. Yeah. Which is not that long. No. It's not going to take all day. No. It's not a double-sided Trent Reznor fuck wank fest.
How dare... Did he pay you to say that? He fucking paid you to say that. I'm telling you right now, Trent Reznor will remember.
No, Trent Reznor paid me. No, don't get me wrong. I love The Fragile, absolutely. But I mean, this is just... Okay. Yeah. It's just... I don't get how they do, like, every single song, every single track, and each movement within each song is, like, totally different, completely, but it's all comes back together under one, like, this is Magnatar. It's all identifiable as Magnatar. It's crazy. Like, some bands do that, and it's like, well, this is just that band doing a clean thing, or that other band doing a heavier bit. And it's like, but no, all of this is absolutely the band, and I love it.
And you can predictably place where they are on the album. Like, I think Dave was mentioning that. The fact that Dead Swan has the sound it does, and then Crown of Thorns is so...
I know, I love that.
On the second song.
And then the third track is like, here's some fucking weird noises you've never heard before.
It's like disorientates you, but it's really... It's that way when you're watching like when you're watching, I don't know why I keep doing movie analogies tonight, but you're watching like the most fucked up movie, and you're like, what am I doing now? Like, I don't know, and I don't feel comfortable with it. This album keeps you like on your toes.
It does, but in the best way. It's not like this. It doesn't make you go, oh, for fuck's sake, what are you doing now? Yeah, it's like, oh wow, you went there, holy shit! Like the song, Loving You Was Killing Me. Loving You Was Killing Me. What? Yeah, Loving You Was Killing Me.
Which might be a typo negative lyric, actually.
I mean, I love that. It's so good. It's just like, it's such a great song title, both because it's so scathing and it's definitely very typo negative. But the end of that track, fuck.
Yeah.
The end section of that, where it was just a low gain strum guitar and the dude absolutely fucking giving it into that microphone. Just straining his voice so hard to scream like that. Like you said, with the weight he has behind it. Yeah. It was a genius move. It was just like, yeah, this is what Loving You was like. It was kind of nice in one end, but on the other end, fuck you. You know? I got that message just through the sound of the song. So it was really well done. I absolutely love that. So, it's all right.
Yeah, it's like those extremities you're talking about. There's a 1986 movie called Possession, which stars the very young, fresh-faced Sam Neill, who was obviously one of the fucking great things, including a movie called Event Horizon. Linking it, it's the circle of life. Bring horror. It's the thing, right? But there's a movie, and that is about a breakup, and it's probably the most fucked up raw movie ever distilled on camera about a breakup. And then by the time you get to the end of that song, that's what it is. It's emotion, and a lot of bands will fake an emotion to get through a bit.
But I believe it's there.
Yeah, we'll write a ballady song, right? Because that's what the album needs, and the words mean things. But the vocalist maybe doesn't. You know what I mean? And this, you feel it. You feel the weight of his words on there, and it's
refreshing to hear, to be honest. Yeah, it really is.
100%.
There's so many times we've heard like, I fucking hate you, and it's just like, well, you don't feel that you do fucking hate them. So, I mean, as a terrible example.
I don't know if you ever heard the band El Nino, but they have about 17 songs which mean I hate you, and all of them are about hatred, and none of them sound like he hates anything.
No. This production sounds like it was recorded in the dude's bedroom.
Yeah,
and I love it. It probably wasn't, but it sounds like, I mean, it's the guitarist that mixed it and not mastered it, but he did the production on it. And I'm like, it sounds like you did that at home. You did this, but it's too good to have been done there. But it's just like, it's got that hairy edge around it that I just absolutely love on metal's songs and stuff.
You like hairy edges, you're going to love this.
I do. Yeah. Zip. I'm back.
Sorry.
I'm going back.
I've had a drink. This is going to turn into this. We will be fucking by the end of this. And like that weird orgy scene from Event Horizon, bringing it full circle again. Full circle.
Yeah.
Full circle.
I'm sure there are parts of this mix the guy's like, I could have done that better, blah, blah, blah. But I'm honestly, like a ridiculously well-polished mix wouldn't have done this justice. It would have just sounded shit. So I think he absolutely spent the time and got it perfectly right for what it is. Like, sure, things sound a bit like, there could be some things done differently. Different producers would do a different thing, but it's like, this is what should have been done. This is the way it should be. And I love it. It's absolutely, it's my favorite thing this week for sure.
Nice. Okay, so ratings for Magnatar and Crushed. This is the best album I heard this year. This week even. Sorry,
this year?
Fucking hell, David.
Dave's like, fuck your bands.
Fuck them all.
Magnatar, ladies and gentlemen.
Dave is so checked out. He's just given the reward to the.
Just like you're like, Dave is so eager to go on holiday that he's just declared this number one of the year. It's like, fuck it. I know it's only me, but Magnatar Crush, number one of the year. There we are.
I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this album. Very different, very unpredictable, but really Moorish, and one that I'll go back to a lot. Only one track that didn't really grab me, so for that reason, it's going to get a 4.5 from me. Duncan, what are you thinking?
This is where we are no longer twinsies. Crush works for me. I think Crush works really well in between Loving You Was Killing Me and Event Horizon, which will give you. I mean, it's Viagra for the ears. Clearly,
if your ears are still hard after 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I count the way I measure time is the amount of time my dick isn't hard, to be honest, as opposed to how long it is hard, because it's easier to count less for, you know what I mean? It's like a sundial. Don't know where we're going with this. It's a 5. Like you're not going to hear anything this year that sounds like Magnatar. You'll hear things that sound like songs on Crushed, but you're not going to hear a release like Crushed. It's one of those kind of very unique oddities that probably shouldn't work. In fact, there's plenty of evidence out there of bands trying to do stuff like this and it doesn't work, but this is like lightning in a bottle. Everything just comes together in a way which I listened to this like 7 times.
Yeah, it's effortless.
And it's not because it's the shortest album we reviewed, because it's of the 3 albums we're reviewing in this session. It's only 5 minutes shorter than the other 2, but there was just so much about this was appealing and made me want to go back. And very much like Kyle said, this is like, if you switch on Dead Swan, you better be ready to listen to Event Horizon. This ain't like, let's jump in the middle and catch one or two songs. This is listening all the way through. And it just gets better every time I spin it. I hear another little element, or appreciate another little nuance or choice that they did that just makes me think they're operating on a different level than a lot of bands that are in the same genre. 5. I think this is one to watch. This is a band to watch, and this will most certainly be in my end of year list. Maybe not at number 1 like it is for Dave.
It's a bold statement there, Dave. I like it.
Yeah. Kyle, what are you thinking?
Man, like Duncan said, this is one to watch. I mean, it's just fantastic all the way through. And this is, again, like Duncan said, this is why we do it. It's just find bands like this. For every 20 fucking deathcore bands we have to listen to, we get one like this, which is insane. And it's just unique and pushes the boundaries and envelopes. And I love that for us. So it's a definite 5 from me as well.
Nice. Magnatar and Crushed out on June 3rd on Seeing Red Records. Links below to the band's Facebook, to the Bandcamp. Check them out. Listen to this album when it comes out from start to finish. I don't think you can get an idea of how this album is going to sound from listening to the singles. So check it out when it comes out. Listen to it front to back. Quality album. Let us know what you think once you've heard it. Drop some comments in below. Happy to hear your thoughts and opinions on it.
This might be the only time that I actively say I feel sorry for the people that are doing PR as well. A hard album to package, you know what I mean? Where you're just like, yeah, listen to this single. And by the way, this doesn't sound like any other track on the album.
But in a really good way.
In a really good way. So, yeah, carefully.
Poor bastards.
That is the review. Thank you for checking it out. We'll be back with another review very soon. But until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.